What's going on, everybody? How y'all doing? Okay, Rack Johnson here. I hadn't been on here in a while. I've been sort of laying low, per se, my lawyer. I got my own little case going on, if y'all didn't know that already. So I'll tell y'all a little bit about that later. This might be an extensive little video here because I'm going to put my opinion out here about this Rittenhouse McMicheal's trial that's going on right now. So this might be a little bit lengthy. Plus, I ain't been on here in a while. I got some catching up to do, I guess you could say. So this might be a little long-winded video. So if you don't like maybe an hour-long video, you might mosey on. But I hope you stick around and listen to what I got to say. And maybe you agree with me, maybe you don't. Leave it in the comments. What you think about my arguments here or my opinion. I mean, I'm more than willing to sit and have an open debate or talk to you about it, but don't be disrespectful. Don't be calling names. Don't be, But anyway, I sort of missed my old Facebook days of doing live videos where I could watch everybody chit-chat while I was doing them and say hey to whoever. And YouTube ain't sort of like that yet, not until I can get enough subscribers that I can go live. And maybe about 10 years from now, I'll get that, I'm sure. But, the way YouTube is censoring a lot of conservatives, I'm thinking about vacating YouTube, but they hadn't started censoring me yet. I'm sure I'm sort of shadow banned in some certain aspect or the other, but that's why I just really miss the good old Confederate 901 days where we had 20,000 followers. And if that page was still going on today, I probably would be about like, other, Facebook personalities that have, a big following and have nice equipment and setups and mics and all that other stuff. But yeah, that's just old lonesome old K-Rack here. But anyway, we'll get on down into the nuts and bolts of everything we want to talk about. But I'm going to start with the Rittenhouse trial. First thing I want to note is how ironic is it that you have two of the most talked about trials in the past decade happening at the exact same time. If you didn't know that the McMicheal's case in Georgia is going on this week as well. I think it started this week. The Rittenhouse case has been going on for 2 weeks today. But I think they basically took a day off today. But anyway, I just find it sort of ironic that both trials are going on at the same time. I don't know if that's like strategy to keep the chaos that may ensue afterwards down. I don't know. But I'll tell you what, it's going to be interesting what the outcome is, and I'll give my opinion of how it's going to come out in each case. I'm not really certain about the McMicheal case because it's still in the infancy stage. I think the defense just took the case like yesterday or today. I haven't been keeping up with the McMicheal case as much. I've been watching the Rittenhouse case gavel to gavel from the get-go. But my all-around opinion about the case is that it's been very interesting. But it's not been anything that I haven't found out anything in this case that caught me by surprise. The only thing that really caught me by surprise was the car lot owners basically lying through their damn teeth on the stand saying that they never did ask them to come protect the property, when that's absolute lie, when they have plenty of video pictures of them standing all together and smiling for the cameras and anything. That was the biggest surprise for me. Well, no, that was the second biggest surprise. The biggest surprise was Rittenhouse taking the stand. And in most cases, you as a defendant are not really would be a good idea to take the stand, even though if you're completely innocent, because if you can't handle tough questions and and can't comprehend what the hell's coming out of your mouth when you say it, and not realize you just hung yourself, it's probably not a good idea to get up there and testify, because the prosecution and cross-examination is going to try to break you. They will try to break you. They will twist your words up. They will double talk out both sides of their mouth and get you to unknowingly admit to something that you know damn good and well that you didn't do, but they'll get you somehow the word. That's what the mastery of prosecution and lawyers is manipulation of language to get you to say what they want you to say, and they're damn good at it because they're a bunch of liars and cheats and thieves and evil people. But I'll get more into how I think about what prosecution and how the justice system really is in this country here in a little bit. But it's all the way around case for the defense. Man, this was basically an open shut case from the get-go. I mean, because everything of this case is video documented. It's all on video. Every incident, every question, everything, there's all video to go to reference whether somebody did this or somebody did not do this. And the funny thing is the prosecution and the state knew this. They all knew this. Because, any person with a lick of common sense and actually respects the constitutional rights of American citizens would see that this is totally self-defense. Absolute and utter self-defense. Kyle Rittenhouse didn't go and run up into Kenosha, Wisconsin looking to kill nobody. He didn't. And it's been proven time and time again in this trial that was not the intentions of Kyle Rittenhouse by no means whatsoever. From all the testimony in the trial, it proved to me that Kyle Rittenhouse, which all the video shows that he was just there to help, to protect his community. No, he didn't live in Kenosha. He lived 30 minutes away across the Illinois state line. His dad lived in Kenosha, and he had ties to the community in Kenosha. He was a lifeguard at the Kenosha YMCA. He worked in Kenosha. He had friends in Kenosha. So yes, Kyle Rittenhouse was part of the Kenosha community. The left will try to argue, he didn't even live there. No, his residence wasn't there. No, it wasn't. But he had family there. He had employment there, and he had friends there. So that basically ties you to that community, because the people that live in that community, you care about those people in that community, so that means you care about that community. And the argument from the left on this bullshit is absolutely ridiculous. I mean, all you have to do is just do a little digging, and you'll see all these videos. They're everywhere. But no, the left is too lazy, and a lot of conservatives are the same way. I hate to say it, but they'll just believe whatever they're told by that idiot box on the wall, or that Facebook chat room, or that Facebook news feed, or whatever like that. But I think that this was a hands-down case of self-defense. The poor guy, should have never been brought up on these charges. He probably could have been brought up on some gun charges or something like that, being that he's so young. I agree. But still, if you dig deep enough into the law, he really didn't break the law there. But see, the law don't mean shit in a courtroom. It really doesn't. The law can be manipulated in so many ways in a courtroom to fit the agenda set forth by the state. I mean, you don't know how ruthless and evil the state can be in a trial, in a court case. Trust me, I know. I've been there. I have. And last time I was there, I told myself then, I was like, I'm not going to be a fool no more. So I hit the books, buddy. I hit the books, and I've studied law ever since. And I ain't sitting here trying to say that I'm no lawyer or nothing like that, but I know quite a good deal about the legal system and how it works and the things that you have to do and the things that people have to go through if they ever get wrapped up in it. I do. I know firsthand. So, things about this case that just made me just like, what the hell is the defense thinking? There's two issues about this trial that I just wanted to be like, what the hell is the defense doing? There was no pretrial motion saying they couldn't talk about it except for the second the second part. But the first part is Gage Crocutts or whatever, the guy that got his bicep blown off. He's not a paramedic. He's not. He lost his paramedic license in 2017 after a firearms violation. Sure did. And and he didn't lose his paramedic's license because he didn't renew the license. His license were revoked because he had a firearms conviction. And if you're in the medical field, you know just as well as I do that if you have anything involving fraud, guns, drugs, or anything like that, your license are gone. They take your license away from you because they are not going to allow any kind of shit like that to be in their occupational jobs or whatever. I'm getting my words crossed up there. But anyway, he's not a paramedic. Even the mainstream media keeps calling him a paramedic. Yeah, they could call him a former paramedic, and that would be okay with me. But no, they want to say he's a paramedic. And he's not. He's not a licensed paramedic. He wasn't the night of the shooting, and he wasn't the day of the trial. He still wasn't a paramedic, but still he got up on that stand and said that he was a paramedic. And that he was a paramedic at Kenosha. But one thing they never did talk about also about this guy is that he's involved with far left radical groups. He has been participating in protests for quite some time and has spoken at several different protests and is a full-fledged Antifa communist piece of shit. Oh, Gage Crocutts or whatever he is. He's highly involved with Antifa and all them. How do you think they organize their little paramedic med team or whatever for their protest? You know, protests, let me tell you something about protests. Protests that pop up out of the blue, there's not no organization. There's not any separate teams that do separate jobs during the protest. That's what you call an organized protest. And there's somebody behind the scenes that's organizing this protest. I wouldn't even call it a protest. It's a riot. It's an organized riot is what it is. And that's what they do. They have paramedics. They have foot soldiers. They have people that watch their backs. It's be the scouts and everything like that. They have people that bust up property and spray paint. I mean, they all have different groups. I'm reading a book right now from Andy No called Antifa Unmasked. And it's talking about all the different ways that they set up stuff and how they organize and how all Antifa is a big conglomerate around the world that's highly organized. But I'm getting off on a tangent. The one thing about the defenses or the prosecution is they try to prosecute on non-facts, emotion. That's what they're trying to get this prosecution on. They're trying to get this conviction via feelings. They're not trying to get a conviction because the law was broken. They're wanting a conviction because Kyle Rittenhouse has turned into nothing but a political football. And I'll get to more of that here in a second. But what killed the whole defense's case was the commie Gage Crocutts or whatever, how you say, I can never say his last name right, so please forgive me. But he, which is a full-fledged communist, he admitted in trial that Kyle Rittenhouse never fired his gun while his hands were up in the air. And most of y'all probably already seen this, I know. But I'm just giving y'all my input on the whole. I'm not going to do a video every day about it. I'm putting everything in a nutshell for right now before a verdict comes out. And I'll probably do another video after the verdict comes out on the Rittenhouse and McMicheal case. But he absolutely admitted on the stand, under oath, that yes, I had my hands up in the air and Kyle never fired at me. But as soon as I pointed my firearm at him, my pistol, yes, that's when Kyle Rittenhouse, he completely, utterly admitted to it. And that blew the whole prosecutor's whole entire case smooth out of the water. Even though it was barely floating like a damn leaf, it sunk to the bottom after that happened. So now what's happened after the prosecution has completely lost this case, it's over with, in my opinion, by this time. Now they're trying every tactic in the world to discredit Kyle Rittenhouse and every word he testified in his cross-examination or on the stand under the defense's questioning. They're trying to scrutinize it all. They're trying to completely ruin Rittenhouse's credibility by saying he's nothing but a liar. Look, he lied about this. He's not a paramedic. He lied about going to Arizona State University. Well, let me tell you something about him being a student at Arizona State University. Yes, he's not a student that physically shows up on campus every day, but he is signed up for online classes. Yeah, he takes non-degree courses. So that's another aspect of prosecution. The lying-ass, cheating-ass prosecution is trying to throw up there because they're trying to sway the jury because they know they've lost the jury. From what I understand, the jury's sitting up there not even writing notes down anymore and got their legs crossed, acting like they wish this shit would hurry up and get over with kind of mentality, right? So they know, and trust me, these people are professionals. They do this shit for a living. The prosecutor is a trial attorney. The defense is a trial attorney. The judge is a former prosecutor that was into a judge. They all know how to read juries. And the prosecution is shitting their pants. Have already shit their pants. So they're pulling up everything they can try to pull up to save their asses, which I do not think it's going to work. I do not think it's going to work. I have to give credit to Rittenhouse and his testimony and cross-examination. He stood there like a solid rock, buddy. And I tell you what, I've watched many trials and seen many testimony of defendants that broke down and just lost it right there on the stand and just fucking screwed themselves big time by running their mouth when they shouldn't have. But I tell you what, Rittenhouse knew exactly what to say and what not to say. He didn't iterate or go into details about anything. The majority of his answers were yes, sir, no, sir, I did or I didn't. And I tell you what, for a 18-year-old young man, he's got balls of steel, buddy. Balls of steel. I understand he lost it and got choked up and got emotional 5 minutes after he took the stand. But this guy, poor young guy, has had the weight of the world on his shoulders. And I'm sure he hasn't really talked to anybody besides his attorneys about the situation. But trust me, when you get up there on in that witness stand, it turns into a whole new ball game. Because your emotions are going to get involved, especially if you went through something such traumatic event as this. You know, your emotions is going to get the best of you. Not unless you're an absolutely sadistic, narcissistic piece of shit. Like Grokutz. You see how he tried to cry? He didn't bawl. He didn't get just uncontrollably sobbing or anything, even though he lost half his fucking bicep. You know why? Because the motherfucker knew he was wrong. Down deep in his heart, he knows he was wrong for what he did, and he shouldn't have never went up there and tried to attack Rittenhouse, and he paid the price for it. But yet he seeks vengeance now because he's a commie. He don't think anybody should have the rights to defend themselves. You know, he's got a $10 million lawsuit against the city of Kenosha right now, and depending on the verdict of this trial, he might be rich one day. you know. But yeah, that's all the prosecution's trying to do is trying to save face. They're trying to save face. They know damn good and well that they're not going to get a conviction on the murder charges. They know this. So what are they trying to do? They're trying to push the lesser charges. And all right, let me explain to you about how this works, all right? When they give a person, they don't never, when you get charged with a felony, you ain't going to get charged with just one felony. You're going to get charged with one or two felonies and maybe 2 or 3 misdemeanors, right? Misdemeanors. Well, if they take it to trial on all the charges that you have pending against you, and they know that they can't get you for the higher charges, they're going to try to go for them lower charges because they're a little bit easier to get. And guess what? If you get that conviction of them lesser charges, even if it's the least charge on there, and they drop it down to even a lesser charge, if they get that conviction, it's over with for Rittenhouse. He can't sue nobody. He might be able to sue like the news companies and something like that, but he will not be able to sue the county or state of Wisconsin or the city of Kenosha or anybody in the local and state government for what he's been through. Because as soon as that conviction shows, it null and voids that. Because if he went and tried to sue anyway, it would get thrown out because he was convicted of a crime that pertained to the lawsuit in court. So that's why the prosecution always charges individuals with more than just one charge. Them other charges hardly will stand up alone in court, but they hold a little bit of water when you got some higher, more traumatic charge pending. You understand what I'm saying? It's a bartering chip, basically, to save their ass. Because I'm going to tell you, and this is where I'm going to talk about the justice system and how the justice system really works in this country. And I'm going to be dead honest with you, folks. I know a lot of people out there say, oh, I support the police and I support the blah, 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 blah. Yeah, I support the police too, as long as they stay within the bounds of the Constitution while they're doing a job, which there's a lot of them out there that don't. But the prosecution, and this is my biggest issue with the justice system itself, the key number one issue I see with the justice system, and where I can agree with the left on, not really agree with the left on, but I agree that there needs to be some changes done in the justice system in this country. And the number one thing that I think needs to be changed is prosecutorial immunity. What is prosecutorial immunity? That means basically, besides physically harming someone, the prosecution can basically break the law and get away with it and have no repercussions of it. And that means they can do some nasty, dirty, underhanded bullshit, but as long as it don't physically harm you or your family or anything like that, buddy, they can do it all day long. And there ain't no repercussions. I see a lot of people in these feeds chit-chatting, talking about getting mad at the prosecutor. Well, let me tell you something. That's what the prosecutors get paid to do. A prosecutor gets paid to make you look like the defendant, the most evil, sadistic, sinister son of a bitch that ever walked the planet. To the public and to the jury and to the court. That is their job. No matter if it's outright, straight up lies and slander, guess what? The prosecutors are not going to be held liable for it. The city will. But guess what? The city's got this thing called insurance. Sure do. And the only thing that can ever happen to a prosecutor is called prosecutorial misconduct. And you know how hard it is to get a prosecutor charged with misconduct? It's almost virtually impossible. Not unless the judge does it right there on the spot and sends a complaint to the Bar Association of the state. It's almost never done. Almost never done. They can get reprimanded by the court, which ain't nothing but a fine, a little fine, ain't shit to them. They make $200,000 or $300,000, if not more than that, a year. I mean, hell, little rinky-dink little county DAs in these little shithole Mississippi counties make probably 3 figures a year. Sure do. But I'm gonna tell you what, prosecutors don't give a flying shit about justice. And I'm speaking straight from the heart here. The prosecution and the state do not, well, I don't know, the state probably does. They probably seek justice, but unfortunately they put people in position that don't. Because the number one thing that prosecutors want and look for and try their damnedest and lose their morality and ethics and everything to get is convictions. And what does convictions do? When you look at a prosecutor's conviction rate, that's what they look at to move on up that ladder, either politically or personally, financially. It's all about the convictions. A prosecutor can have a case just, and for an example, same example as this Rittenhouse case right here. A prosecutor can have a case put in front of his face, and he look at it and even have exculpatory evidence that proves that the defendant is completely and utterly innocent. And these motherfuckers will hide that shit from the defense. I've seen it happen. They will hide. I think there was some exculpatory evidence hidden in this trial with the FBI drone footage. I think that was exculpatory evidence, but it wasn't brought to the attention of the defense till the trial got started. Yeah. But they will trample over your rights. They will lie. They will steal. They will pay private investigators and henchmen and shit to intimidate people and all this other shit. And guess what? They get away with it every time. Because the one thing they're looking for is that big old C, that conviction. Conviction. That way they can work their way up that ladder. Sure can. So don't get all pissed off at the prosecutor in this case and start saying, well, they need to do something to this prosecutor. They need to do that to this prosecutor. Well, you're punching in the fucking wind, buddy, because ain't nothing ever going to happen to him. There might be a few legal commentators say this and that about him and how he should happen to this, but ain't nothing going to happen to the piece of shit. And I'm going to tell you right now, I don't know one prosecutor in one county of this United States of America, anywhere that's out to seek true justice. I don't. That's what happened back in the day before we had DNA and all that other shit that would exonerate somebody quickly. Back in the day when you had all these damn prosecutors and everything wanting to handle a certain community in the certain minority or certain ideology or something like that, back in the day, they would go get their defendant or their criminal out of those neighborhoods and put them on trial, and they would, by their magic way of twisting words, get a conviction. But luckily, we have forensic evidence nowadays and stuff like that, DNA and stuff like that, that's safeguarded most part from that. But it still happens. It still happens. They haven't changed their tactics, or they've changed their tactics, but they're still fighting the same fight. You know what I'm saying? This is how it works, people. And I'm telling you the God's honest truth. If anybody watching this video has not ever been called up, now I ain't talking about some bullshit traffic ticket or some bullshit DUI charge. I'm talking about something serious, felony charge where you gotta go pay all your $10,000 off the get-go just to defend your ass kind of charge. Shit. You get wrapped up in those systems, you'll find out real quick what it's really all about. It's all about making a name for oneself and getting a conviction and saying, we don't care about justice. I mean, go look at Making a Murderer, the docuseries on Netflix, man. I mean, damn. That's another prime example of that. So let me explain to you, a lot of people out here, I don't know if y'all understand the importance of this trial and how it personally will affect you in the future if the outcome doesn't come in the way it should. The importance of this whole trial is your self-defense, your titles to your rights to self-defense in this country is what's on trial here, on top of a 18-year-old boy. But that's what hinges for us, you and I, is this, because they can take this case law and spread it across the whole country now. If the conviction comes out as guilty, they can use it in court to get another conviction, probably on another innocent person trying to defend himself. So basically, what this case is doing is your rights to self-defense is on trial here. They are. And if there's a guilty verdict on this murder charge, buddy, you better get ready to, if you ever get in a fight with a big mob or something like that, you might as well just let them beat you to death. Because if you get beat until you're on the verge of death and pull out a gun and shoot them, guess what? You didn't have a right to do that. And that's what this trial is all about. Both of these trials have very high significance on our constitutional rights in this country. And I'm going to get into the McMicheal, the Ahmaud Arbery case now. And I'll explain to you why this case and the importance of it as well. First, I want to talk about the whole incident of Ahmaud Arbery. This happened back in February of 2020. And I was on top of this like stink on dog shit as soon as it happened. I mean, this is before George Floyd, before Kenosha. This is the very first incident after everybody went into the save the curve 15-day quarantine bullshit, and I went on a 6-month furlough. Began. This is like the very first of it. It was February of 2021. In a neighborhood in the suburbs of Atlanta, Georgia, there had been a lot of break-ins in people's houses in that area. Well, there was a house under construction, and there was this guy named Brian Stevens, I think was his last name. He lived right across the street from the house that was being under construction. Well, he walked out on his front porch because he was out in the yard working in his yard and stuff, and seen Ahmaud Arbery inside the house, walking around inside the house that was in construction. Now, make note. There had been a lot of break-ins and burglaries and theft of property happening in this very neighborhood. Well, Mr. Brian called the police department. I think he called the police department. No, he called the McMicheals first and says, hey, I've caught this guy walking in. And as soon as he got on the phone and started talking to the McMicheals, Ahmaud Arbery saw him and cut out running. And so Mr. Brian was talking to McMicheals on the phone and says, he's running. And they're like, which way is he going? And he's like, well, he's going down such and such street. Well, the McMicheals, I think they live next door to Mr. Brian. The McMicheals hopped in their vehicle, and Ahmaud Arbery's running down the road, and they pull up beside him in the truck and is like, hey, you need to stop. Okay? Well, he wouldn't stop. So Ahmaud Arbery cut off through this yard over there, and then the McMicheals took a side street. Mr. Bryan then got in his truck, and he's following behind, and he's the one videotaping this on his phone. And I've seen all these video, people, and it's all there. It might be hard to find now, but when all this shit broke out, it was all over YouTube, Facebook, everything. And I went over that video like a fine-tooth comb. Okay? Now, I don't agree. I never would have chased after him. I'd have just called the police and be like, hey, he's wearing such and such and such and such. You know, he was last seen running down such and such and such and such street. You know, police would come, scout the neighborhood out, see if they could find him. And most likely they probably would. But I'll get to that here in a second. But so when Ahmaud Arbery cuts across these yards and stuff to try to run over to another street, the McMicheals, you know, headed him off. And they got to the point, was in front of him when he come out on the street, and he ran straight for him. Straight for the truck, right? Runs around the truck. And the younger McMicheal, the older McMicheal is in the back of the truck with his handgun, and the younger McMicheal, who was driving the truck, had gotten out of the truck and walked around to the front of the truck with a shotgun in his hands. Okay? They done tried to get this guy to stop several times. And he would not stop running. All right? So, when he comes running around that truck, he goes straight, directly after the younger McMicheal, which is holding a shotgun. He grabs the stock and the barrel of the shotgun when he confronts McMicheal and starts trying to wrestle the shotgun away from the younger McMicheal. I can't remember his first name, sorry. While he was doing that, the shotgun went off and hit Arbery in the stomach. And when he let go, he got shot again between the stomach and the chest, and that's when he turned and tried to run away, and he collapsed to the ground and died. Okay? Now, who is to say that by Mr. Arbery grabbing that gun is not who made that gun go off? I can't say that. That's what's going to have to be determined in this trial, and that's going to be a key factor in this trial. Did Mr. Ahmaud Arbery yank the gun from Mr. McMicheal, which made the gun fire? Or did Mr. McMicheal intentionally pull the trigger to shoot Mr. Arbery? But if you got a gun in your hand and somebody grabs it and your finger's on the trigger and they're trying to jerk it away from them, there's no telling if that thing's going to fire or not. When you're in a struggle with a gun, that's a bad thing about a gun, especially if it's not on safety. And you wrestle around with it, that's something that's probably going to go off. Unfortunately, Mr. Ahmaud Arbery got the shit end of the stick, which he should have never ran up and tried to attack the younger McMicheal, which was holding a shotgun, and take a shotgun away from him. He should have kept running across yards and shit, trying to get away from him. But no, he ran directly at the younger McMicheal standing in the middle of the road and attacked him and tried to take his shotgun from him. And that's what caused his ass to get shot and killed. Okay? Now, you listen to the left-leaning ass media, they're going to act like that the McMicheals tried to be some kind of vigilantes and just run straight up down the road and shot this man as he's jogging out for his daily jog in work boots. Work boots. Don't forget about that. Work boots. Who the fuck goes jogging in work boots? Huh? Who goes jogging in cut-off shorts? And if you know anything about running in cut-off shorts, which I'm old redneck, I've wore a many pair of cut-off shorts, you get what they call the gig butt. Yeah, that old jeans will crunch up right there by your chode, behind your nutsack, and just eat it up. I'm talking about eat it up if you go off running in some blue jeans and shit for a long period of time, especially after you start sweating real bad. It's absolutely asinine to even think, oh, he was just out for a jog. No, his ass was out trying to find a damn roll of copper he could go take to the scrapyard to get him a couple $100 for, is what he's looking for. But he got caught. And he got attempted citizen's arrest by two people that lived in the neighborhood. And if you know, and the funny thing about it is, oh, they chased him down. They're a bunch of vigilantes. Well, let me explain something about Georgia law. And I looked up these Georgia laws when I was all talking about this back in my old Facebook days when all this shit broke out. And I remind you, I told y'all back in those days, and I hope some of y'all that's watching this will remember that. And I told y'all, this is a bunch of bullshit. And luckily, I thought that's what's going to be the spark that the match that sparked the flames of riots and stuff, but it was a few months later when George Floyd got murdered. I won't say murdered or overdosed, but anyway. So in Georgia, there's a rights to citizens arrest law in Georgia, y'all. There is. You have a right in the state of Georgia, and even here in the state of Mississippi, we also have this right. If you see a person in the commencement of a crime, you have a right as a citizen to stop that person and detain them until police arrive. It's called a citizen's arrest law. Okay? And they have that law in Georgia. And this is what's on the McMicheal side is state law. Okay? But like I said, laws don't really mean shit in the courtroom. Especially when you got these underhanded, crooked-ass prosecutors that will completely change the definition of words. Just like 4 plus 4 equals 8. No, in their eyes, they can make 4 plus 4 equal 2 if they want to the jury. All right? But anyway, as far as the citizen's arrest law, you have the right to stop someone in the commencement of a crime. You have a right to detain that person and call the police to come and arrest and take that person away. Okay? You do. You also have a right to open carry in the state of Mississippi and in the state of Georgia. So, no, the McMicheals did not violate any law whatsoever by transporting their firearms and having them open carry while they was in the process of trying to make a citizen's arrest. They didn't break any law. They didn't break any laws by chasing him down and trying to stop and detain Mr. Oddberry. No, they didn't. The one thing that hangs in the balance of this whole trial was intention. Did the McMicheals intend to hunt Ahmaud Arbery? That's going to be the question. Was their intention to hunt him down and shoot and kill him? Or was it their intentions to chase him down, stop, and detain him? And that's going to be left up to the jury to decide. And it's also going to be left up to the jury to decide on what caused the firearm, the shotgun, to go off. Was it Mr. Arbery grabbing the gun and trying to take it away from Mr. McMicheal? Or was it Mr. McMicheal, in the struggle for the gun, decided to pull the trigger? Which, that falls under self-defense. You attack someone with the gun, don't be surprised if that person with that gun shoots you with said gun. That's what I don't understand, why these people can't put, like I said, 4 and 4 equals 8, but these motherfuckers make 4 and 4 equal 2. How in the hell can you attack an individual, physically attack an individual, and try to take their gun from them and not expect to get your ass blown off? Huh? Tell me, does anybody out there with common sense disagree with me? No, I don't think so. Only these baffling, foaming at the mouth, screaming communist liberal pieces of shit think 4 plus 4 equals 2. Facts don't mean shit to these people. They don't mean shit to the media. They don't mean shit to the communist left. They don't mean shit to the prosecutors in these cases. All they want is someone to pay. All the prosecutors want is a nice conviction on their record so they can move on up that ladder. And in the meantime, the United States burns and crumbles around us while we sit on the edge of our seats hoping that they're not going to take our rights to self-defense away, or our rights to protect property away, which is the importance of the said McMicheal case, Ahmaud Arbery shooting. That's the key thing of this whole entire 2 cases, is not what happens to Rittenhouse, but what happens to this country afterwards once a guilty verdict is handed down in these two cases. All I can say, folks, is you better hope and pray that these cases go the way that they should be. And they should go. Because anybody with the least little bit of legal sense in their head sees right through all of this bullshit. And I've been seeing through it for years now. Like I said, the Rittenhouse case, the importance of it is not whether Rittenhouse gets convicted or not. If it's written, the importance is if he gets convicted, your rights to self-defense are basically done for. The McMicheal's case, it's not the fact that if they get convicted, that's going to be the effect. It's what's going to come along after the conviction to you in a personal effect. And you have to understand that. You have to. It's just like COVID. And back in the old Facebook days when I had a Facebook channel before they canceled me and deplatformed me, took everything I had on Facebook and threw it all away, I told y'all, don't be so caught up in this bullshit virus. I'm not saying it's fake. It's real. I've gotten it myself. But the real fear is what the government's going to do in response to it. And we're seeing that as we speak. They're trying to take people's livelihoods away from them because of this crap. But I'll get all into that on another day. But I'm going to stay focused on this trial. And I hope y'all people listen to me. I hope you took the time to listen. And I hope you see from my point. If you got a different point of view, please post it in the comments. We can have our little debate, or I may agree with you, I may disagree with you. But we can talk about it. But I hope y'all enjoyed the video. Y'all make sure y'all hit the subscribe button and hit that good old thumbs up for me. Maybe one day if I get enough subscribers, I can go live. And we can be having these nice, big old, fancy, deadgum YouTube videos. Be a lot better when I have people scrolling up through there chatting, wouldn't it? Would be. Especially with some trolls coming. I used to love the trolls coming there. Boy, it got interesting then. But anyway, I appreciate y'all watching. Like I said, y'all make sure y'all hit that subscribe button, hit that thumbs up button. And y'all have a wonderful evening. And don't ever forget, God bless Dixie.